Welcome to the show where anything could happen, a real play experience where we pit the players against problems that have no simple answers, incomplete information, and are always against the clock. I'm Oscar, I'm your host, and it's my job to set things up and behind the scenes to pass messages to the players to keep knocking things off track. In this episode, we find ourselves at the site of an archaeological dig on Proxima Centauri B, just 4 light years from Earth. This uninhabitable, ultraviolet radiation-bathed world holds the site of one of the earliest corporation attempts to build a habitat in such an inhospitable location. The base was used as a research station during the corporate wars and became notorious for inhumane experiments. It had been lost in the rubble and rebuilding on the planet, hidden for around 150 years, and was only recently rediscovered following the damage to a nearby radiation shielding station caused by the theft of essential power crystals. But the team has uncovered something unexpected, an experimental corporation stasis pod with a single individual inside. The identity of this person is not entirely clear, but seems likely that they were someone quite significant, and they have been inside for at least 160 years. It's suspected that they are a renowned war criminal responsible for the unethical scientific research that killed tens of thousands of people. But the evidence is far from conclusive. In the next 20 minutes' time, they are going to be handed over to the UFR Justice and Reconciliation Committee, and the panel's conclusion must be presented. What will happen to this individual? Are they innocent of the charges, or are they responsible for these heinous crimes? And what will happen to the research materials that they must have developed whilst they were on this site? It's the panel's job to answer the questions and to question the survivor and to present their recommendations to the committee. First, we have the survivor themselves. Survivor, do you want to tell us something about yourself?
Well, I woke up and somebody shined a light in my eyes. It was very weird. Yes, I'm here, and yes, played by Karim. Hello, everyone.
Played by Karim. I didn't say that. I thought I'd said it. That's Karim. So next up, we have Suna Stone, a representative of the UFR Archaeological Survey, played by Shruti.
Hello, I'm Suna Stone. I'm part of the Archaeological Survey team, and I'm here to understand what groundbreaking info the survivor could reveal. It's amazing.
And next up, we have our second panelist, Rushii, a representative of the Gytanki nation, who were most notably affected by the horrors that took place at this research station, played by Lucie.
Greetings, my name is Rushii, and I'm here to represent my people and everything that they deserve on this planet.
Finally, we have our third panelist, Chell Johnson, an investigator from the UFR Scientific Directorate, who's exploring what materials have been uncovered alongside the stasis pod, played by Mivi. Do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Hello, I'm Chell Johnson. I may be here for the UFR, but ultimately I'm here to further science. There are some incredible insights to be gained here, and hopefully we can work our best to get them.
So, is this survivor a renowned war criminal responsible for unethical scientific research, or just an innocent party caught up in being used as a test subject themselves? And what of the research that they might be able to access? We shall find out. And of course, anything could happen. Over to the committee.
When I look at this human creature, I recognize the tales of my ancestors. They sound like the character that they once saw on this planet.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. My people were gravely affected by all the research here. This is not a good sign for you.
I'm sorry, I was just cleaner.
You were a cleaner?
Yes.
What did you clean?
The site.
What was on the site? What were you? Tell me something more.
It's a scientific, was a scientific, like, it's sorry, I'm still trying to cope with the fact that it's 150 years ago and I last woke up.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's just a humble cleaner on this site. Mop, bucket, cloth stuff, wipe it down, take abuse from the scientific stuff because they're all up their own backsides because they're all so bloody clever. Yeah, cleaner.
Why were you in the safety pod?
It's where do I go? I believe the term is a stasis pod. I think it's what the big cheese was working on. One of the many things he was working on is how to allow people to survive for extended periods of time through deep space travel, that kind of thing. And apparently he needed somebody, I guess, expendable to test it out on. I think they must have drugged me, put me in there, and then something happened and nobody woke me up again until now.
Survivor 1, are you telling us everything you know? I appreciate that you've just woken up, but these are some grave things that we need to discuss here today. We're discussing whether you survive or you don't.
Whether I survive? Christ, I just got up for after 150 years. What kind of threat is that? I appreciate the site had some... I had to clean up a lot of stuff, all right? Stuff that wouldn't be terribly happy dealing with in any other scenario. But,
Like the blood of my ancestors?
Well, yeah.
Because that's what happened on this base. Specifically, my own nation is from this area. We were destroyed.
Yeah. How can I put it? It's a job, and yes, they were doing stuff to test subjects, some of whom looked like you. I'm sorry. I just cleaned up. What can I say? It's one of those strange things that just... I got... I look at me. I was expendable. See, they put me in a bloody box for hour bloody long.
And yet they've all gone.
Well, I assume because, somebody said something about some kind of military incursion into the base or something. Must have happened whilst I was asleep. I assume either people died or got or lifted off planet. They didn't know where this box was or something.
We should discuss this aside from the Survivor 1 for a couple of minutes. I completely understand your point, and again, my deepest sympathies. Not that they'd cover this, but with Survivor 1, there is so much potential for furthering and revolutionizing science. There, with the knowledge of how Survivor 1 survived for this long, we could completely revolutionize the way that space travel works. It's for the good of the people. Not that that is any sort of... Yeah. But I think really we need to use Survivor 1 for the better.
I think the same, Rushii. But I believe that Survivor 1 will be able to give us more insight on what happened to your people in a more personal way, right? Because they were there and they can give us accounts of what exactly happened that might help us spread awareness about what has happened to your people and possibly even help you to get what you deserve, like you said.
I want justice.
I understand that. After we get the information, we can talk about justice that needs to be done.
To start, there is a memory core in the stasis pod, and for that we need an ID and a DNA sample to unlock it, which I think could be quite easily procured from Survivor 1.
Procured from me? Now you're sounding like I'm a test subject.
We don't mean to offend you. We're just trying to figure out who you are, right? Like you said, it's been a long while since you've been in the stasis chamber, so we just want to know that, you know, the stasis chamber hasn't harmed you in any way, psychologically, physically, mentally, you know? So this would be a nice check. So we could just confirm your memories, right?
I understand, I suppose. You do remember there was a war going on when I was working here? War is that kind of messy, nasty kind of thing that lots of people get hurt in. Lots and lots of people get hurt in.
Yes, lots.
Well, one of my teams seems to have found an ID chit. So, Survivor 1, I think we can have your blood maybe to help us with this pod to access the memory capsule. If that's okay.
Oh, blood?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Pass me something to... Go on, then. Do what you need to.
Here.
I'm going to get out of here without it, am I?
Well, it's not like you're getting tortured by us, the way my people were.
I think you're carrying this grudge just a little long in the tooth, Rushii. Just a little. This is an entirely separate situation here.
How is this? This has been the downfall of my nation. They're struggling. That was the start of it. We were being attacked. Used as experiments. By outsiders. Like yourself. So even if that's true that you're just a bystander, you were there when that was happening. When the start of the end for my people happened.
And that is the case, obviously, because otherwise you lot wouldn't be here and be so interested in me for some strange reason. So, I hope your investigations go well.
Suna, did you say you have the ID card?
Yeah, they're trying to fix it. Old tech, you know.
Great.
I'd slap it twice around you.
We're trying to do that.
And then,
Don't worry, we'll get
wipe
it
it on your clothing and maybe a little bit of isopropyl alcohol or something, one or the other. It'll clean up the contacts, become up fine. Cleaning, that's my specialty, you see. Cleaning the contacts, very good.
Why did you join that mission? To be a cleaner?
It's a job. When you work for one place, you get told to go places. That's what I said, yeah. It's corporate. They were subcontracted to the subcontractor of the subcontractor. I work for the subcontractor, and I got told to go there. What can I say? Late stage capitalism. At your service.
Are there any updates on how the ID cards is it working?
I'm trying to check. Let me see.
Okay, I guess in the meanwhile, let's discuss the matter at hand. So it's our priority really to keep Survivor 1 alive for study.
Thank you. Nice to be considered for this, okay? At least partly. How nice.
Rushii, I know that this isn't the ideal outcome for you, given your history and your people, but truly we need to keep him alive.
I'm not saying I'm not willing to keep him alive. well, he's useful. But I want to make sure that justice happens when it's due.
I see. Interesting.
What was your name, survivor?
David Legion.
David Legion. Took you a very long time for you to tell us.
Bit of anonymity is a little bit of control I had against what appears to be some kind of lynch mob.
The UFR Justice and Reconciliation Committee sits in 10 minutes.
Mivi, I need some help from your science team to preserve and kind of recreate this ship. Could you help? Could you have someone from the science team help with that?
Sure, I'll let them know.
Good God.
Survivor 1, what else can you tell us about your life before you fell asleep?
Well, I worked with some very brilliant people.
Mm-hmm.
They were clever, smart, ruthless, I'll not deny it, but dedicated to their cause. You know, when one is at war, one is at war. Things have to happen that way, kind of thing.
The war that they created themselves?
I don't know who started it. You ask whoever top people do that kind of thing. I just did my job at the end of the day.
Did you not feel anything for the people you saw tortured in these premises? My people?
One might describe it much like surgery.
Surgery.
It looks messy. It could involve all kinds of difficult scenarios, but in the end, it's for the greater good.
Oh, the greater good.
That's the best way I could describe it.
The greater good of whom?
Well, that's always a context of discussion, isn't it? Who wins what conflict? Who starts what conflict? Who is whatever in whatever conflict? Is it or is it not a good idea to do this, or take that idea, or develop science in this direction? Possibly. Maybe.
How convenient on the side that is not being genocide.
Well, I think genocide is a slightly different scenario. But it's a matter of scale if you're talking genocide.
Oh, I am very glad that we're talking numbers.
If we're going to aim for accuracy, I believe it's, important. Discussing, the effects on individuals or people or large numbers of people or whatever in an attempt to win a war.
Sorry to interrupt, but Suna, is there any more word?
No, not yet.
Are you sure? Because one of your team has told my team that there is.
Oh, that's strange.
This is important. We need that information.
Let me just recheck 1 second. Okay, there is info that Survivor 1 had access to the things on this core, and it contains countless scientific papers and a spec for the stasis pod. which might be very useful for you, Shell.
Thank you.
You have access to scientific research.
Mm-hmm.
Ha! For a cleaner. Interesting.
That is true.
Can we gain that access with him? Do we need him to have access to all
Yes,
this knowledge?
yes, we definitely do need him.
What
Survival
part
one.
of him?
We need him alive so we can study him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that before the committee sits, we could come up with some arrangement so that Rushii, you won't be happy, but you will at least feel moderately satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, I've been told the blueprints as well are in a personalized code. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, Survivor 1?
My apologies for the ruse. What can I say? Yes, of course I know what the code is. Yes, of course I know almost everything about this site. I was Chief Scientific Officer here. Blaine Grandel at your service.
It was him.
Enchanté. I was here to do a job and we did it.
My people have nightmares about you.
Well, I suspect long time ago.
Why?
Oh, current night, yeah. people-
Why? Why did you do it?
It's war. War's horrible. One has to find solutions.
The demon of Proxima. I can't believe you're here.
The UFR committee will commence in 5 minutes. Please have your findings ready.
Look, we developed all kinds of technologies for warfare and for non-warfare purposes. We developed them in ways that achieved the goal. We worked as we could, and then somehow we got attacked. These things happen. If you want to benefit from what we have here, you're going to need to address that fact.
Rushii, I understand that this is a very difficult situation, but we need to keep in mind that the info this person has, all the sacrifices made by your ancestors, the torture, we need to find out what info he was able to get from them, the knowledge, so that their sacrifice was not in vain. I understand this is a very touchy subject, so obviously you have a major say on what happens with the survivor. But please do know that this information will help all of civilization.
I hear what you're saying, Suna Stone. You have no idea how much I want to make him go through everything he's done to my people. But my present people need all the help they can have. We need support, financial support, that this research might give us.
With this, as we know, Survivor 1 has survived quite a long time, over 100 years. This could be used to improve the way that we travel through space. Travel trips, they'll take minutes instead of years.
Perceived minutes rather than actual minutes.
Thank you.
We haven't developed super light drive just yet.
Survivor, I'm trying to ensure your survival here. Thank you.
But
this will allow for us, all of humankind, everybody kind, to...
intelligent life forms.
Yes, and that includes my form.
Exactly.
Yes, that's why I said intelligent life form.
It will expand so many trade routes. It will expand just... I don't feel like you need convincing in to keep him alive. for now. I think
We developed
Here-
lots of technologies, lots of beneficial technologies as well, not just stasis
Okay.
pods.
Here are my terms. I want my people to gain a fair percentage of all the findings and everything that it can mean in terms of financial gains from that technology. And I also want this scum to stay in my custody. I will keep him alive. Alive is what we need.
What-
If you are open to it, maybe I can be a representative from the UFR while he is in your custody to gain the necessary information from him and also help you in gaining the funding by publishing archaeological records.
I would like to do the same. I think we should work together on this. Unfortunately, here's now all our responsibility in order to further our findings. But I think we should all remain balanced in this.
The UFR committee is about to start. Please hand over your findings. What are your conclusions? What should be done with the survivor?
He will stay in our custody while we retrieve everything we need from the research. And the people of Gytanki will gain a 30% of the amount gained from these findings. And then we will decide what happens to the prisoner.
Ah, well, that's where the problem lies, isn't it? That does involve me being somewhat accepting of the scenario, doesn't it?
I don't think you have a choice here.
Oh, I have many choices.
Do you now?
Yes.
Okay, well, the UFR will also accompany the prisoner to ensure that personal feelings are tamed. I don't know how to put that. To ensure he lasts as long as we can to get the information that we need. Then he may be given
I think
to
you'll
you.
find if there's any threat to me in any way, shape, or form, you're not going to get anything.
Oh, really? You've managed to make my people talk, even when they didn't want to.
Mm-hmm. You think I haven't thought of that?
Uh-huh. Well,
He's
isn't
been
that
searched,
great?
right?
Physically.
And on that note, the UFR committee realised that there is currently no conclusion and debate will continue. However, it seems likely our survivor will be held captive by the Gytanki with a protective guard from the UFR to ensure that no bad practice occurs. But what will actually happen to our survivor? We shall have to find out some other time. On that note, thank you very much, guys. Do we? Anyone got any thoughts on their characters' conclusions versus their own feelings on the subject?
I was just along for the ride and for science, I think.
I was trying to channel all the need for retribution of minorities in different parts of the world. And being like, but the present people need help too.
Yeah. I could definitely relate with that, and I was trying to stay balanced, but not really.
It's an interesting one. So I mean, obviously, Karim, you hit on a very important point, which is at the end of the day, the really valuable bit is the bit in your personalized code. That personalized code isn't going to get broken by any computer anytime soon. There's too much anecdotal application in there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's not impossible to ever break. You know, there very few codes would be.
Mm-hmm.
But what point though are you? What are you going to need to have to be able to feel that you'd hand over that information? Would they ever get anything out of you?
If I had guarantees of, just carrying on working and surviving elsewhere, I've got no problem with that. Being strung up and whatever, that's a problem for me. It's like I'll happily carry on working, doing what I do. Maybe I'll have to adjust my ethical boundaries for modern times, shall we say?
Yes, they might need a little updating, shall we say? Because I basically had in my head when I was thinking this one up, a Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
It was kind of in the back of my mind, and obviously the way that the American government worked with him, with his history. I made you a little bit less ambiguous. There may be some historical records.
Yeah.
So, yes. Any other?
But he's a shit. The first water. Absolutely.
Yes. Exactly.
But then a lot of these people are,
Well, exactly. A lot of them just didn't have any particular care. I mean, obviously, anyone else got any other sort of thoughts on? Well, in fact, what was going on? So, Shell, obviously, I gave you a bit of a history, but I made it very confusing. How did that affect you? So, do you want to tell people what this history was and what the complication was?
Sure. Well, I was a spacer, or like the descendant of one. So that means like one of my grandparents and their siblings were also experimented on. So I had some personal history, possibly experimented on by Survivor One. So that was why I was slightly lenient, I guess. It was tricky because I wanted the science. But it was good, like Rushii was completely of the same mind of wanting to keep them so that we learn. Unsure if any torture tactics would work, but we'd get there. We'd cross that bridge when we came to it.
So let's go to Rushii. So Rushii, from your point of view, obviously, why were you so keen on this thoroughly evil demon of Proxima, as you referred to him, or rather, as I hinted to you to refer to him,
as you told him to, yeah.
As I told him to. Why would you be so lenient to him?
Because my nation is financially struggling really hard. So yes, I would want to avenge my ancestors, but I need to think about the present as well. It wouldn't look good if I were to gain something personally from my people. I would be judged harshly by my people, but I feel like I found a way that satisfies me, and I feel like everybody was in agreement that I was the one deciding, so I was like, I'm gonna make my perfect terms, which is it's for my people, not for me. And also I want to torture that dude.
Yeah,
Of course you do.
but I think in some ways Shell's response to have a UFR guard,
Yes,
Actually,
bodyguard. Well,
I think that saved you, because I think the reality is, as soon as you got him into your nation, there would be riots and he'd be killed on the spot.
But also, Suna was sus, and as soon as they offered up their own kind of guard, I was like, no, I need to be there too. I don't trust you. I thought maybe they could work together and both kill her. I don't know, but
Okay. No, in no way was I going to intentionally kill Survivor One, because I need them for all the info. I don't really care whether you get to be on that team or whether the bodyguard team. I don't really care about that as long as I'm on that team. Because my character's motive behind this whole thing was so that I can make a mark on history as an archaeologist. And which is why I was trying to be on Rushii's good side the whole time, and trying to convince her that I understand the sacrifices and the torture
but
inflicted on your
understand.
ancestors, but I'm gonna help you, reveal all these things to the larger crowd so that she has some amount of trust on this representative.
yeah, I was gonna say, it felt like we were all kind of aligned. There was also an element that I didn't say, which is I don't want him killed right now. That's just, that would be too easy.
oh yeah,
No.
The irony is that the briefs are actually all really opposed, but they've all got this little elements in there to muddy the water. And so, ironically, it's kind of like it's the way each of you have interpreted. And actually, that's kind of the intention of the scenario. I wanted to create a situation where, why do we end up with these black and white circumstances, this thoroughly appalling individual who's done terrible things and has terrible opinions, is going to get away with it. And we're going to be complicit. in him getting away with it. Is kind of what I wanted to set up, if that makes sense. I mean, it wasn't. It couldn't be black and white. It couldn't just happen. I didn't want it to be roller coaster. But I think what we've ended up with is a kind of an interesting compromise where essentially our survivor, Blaine Grandel, is now going to get away with it, and I want to see what happens in the world where Blaine Grandel is now back in, and does he get himself back into a position of power given his level of knowledge, his experience, his connections, his practice at being ahead of one of the largest corporations this universe has seen. So
he's
the connections might take a bit of work given they're mostly 150 years old.
Well, that's true, but you built them. You knew how to do it. That's my point.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has skills. He has a certain set of skills in a certain set of areas.
Yes,
he
exactly.
also very much has a target on his back, and I'm a sniper that's never going to sleep now.
Exactly. So we may never come back and find out what happened to Blaine, but it's going to go back into our. As obviously we're playing these through, we're kind of inventing the world as we go along, so it's going to go into our log of everything that's happened. So, thank you very much for that. Any other thoughts or comments? I mean, are there other sort of ways that we may have wanted to sort of play with the kind of ethical kind of questions here? Or, do we get a chance to do that, or do we have too many things getting in the way of exploring the ethical part?
I mean, not on like the ethical side of things, but more of the ethics of the character, I suppose.
Yeah.
Where I knew within around 4 or 5 minutes of the situation starting that the identity of this person, right?
Yeah.
And I was just stalling this information from others so that I could get Survivor 1 to unlock the memory capsule, and we have all the info we need to then convict the person of the crimes they committed, that I know they committed.
So you were playing a long game. You were trying to basically, kind of get him. And the thing that stifled you was the personalized code,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. Which is why I put it in there.
Secure passwords. Ugh.
Yeah.
Which is why then I switched tactics from, trying to be nice to Survivor 1 to being nice to Rushii, because in the end I know it's going to go to her, and if I need any info, I'll need her to agree.
And it was one of your team who happened to be chatting, not knowing that they shouldn't tell anybody, which is why I could then leak it to Chell.
Yeah.
So, in fact, you were rather nice about it, I would argue, compared to you could have been even more angry.
Pretty chill boss.
Chill.
I reckon you could have thrown a couple of things to balance the balancing in that there's a lot of technological development through that time.
Yeah.
Some of it will have come out, and some of it would have benefited the galaxy over the last 150 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the way it was got, not great. Well, the way some of it was got, should we say? Because it's not all of it was found within the subskin of the Gytanki people. But there was other good work that was done here. So, so if you want to add another ethical twist to that, you could have they were responsible for this, and this as well.
Yeah.
I feel like
this bit was the dark secret, which is horrible, but they did all these other things as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that'll come up in other scenarios, though.
I know, but if you wanted to add a bit more of a spin to this one for future runs.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because we could talk about kind of like cures to disease and stuff like that. I mean, again, it's one of those really horrific kind of things. Yeah.
Some of the work that they did was able to take out a major disease that hit the Gytankis.
And maybe save more people. It's that classic kind of...
Yes. Because of the work, it actually meant there was...
Yeah.
There's the ultimate conundrum.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a scenario for another time. We can have a reprise of Blaine Grandel where his... essentially, should he be offered effectively a Nobel Prize or locked up?
I was so of the mind that Suna was like a secret super fan and they were like working together in some sort of way. Not to put that out there, but
I did think about that, but I went for in it for herself as a way of
which
doing
is
the
worse.
same thing. Yeah. But the thing is, if you've ever been on these committee types things, you'll know that person who is only there to progress their career. Yeah. It's not saying every committee's like that, but I have seen it a few times. So,
It's good we don't have weapons on these committees.
yeah. Exactly. Oh, and Shruti's light's gone out. Anyway, on that note, unless anyone's got any other kind of thoughts or comments or questions, what I will do is say thank you very much. And there you have it. We have explored what happens when you're trying to identify whether somebody is a war criminal or whether their information is so valuable to the society around you that you'll let that pass. And hopefully what we've done is we've made you ask some questions or think about these things and realize that whilst there may be very clear answers when it comes to the ethics, sometimes real life gets in the way in ways which anybody can get caught up. In fact, where in fact anything could happen. And with that note, please like, subscribe, share, tell every other people about it, and check out the other scenarios that we have. And we'll be back next time. And again, remember, anything could happen.